episode 2.
We're back.
Just like Jason Aldean, we back. I'm Jason Knight.
I'm Adri.
You got to fight for your right to podcast.
Ooh.
What Adri would you think of immediately off the top of your head when you hear fight for your right to anything?
Beastie Boys.
That's right.
Automatically.
And we're going to get into that in just a few minutes. But first, I kind of want to recap episode number 1.
Yeah, it was fun.
I thought overall the feedback for the debut episode
Yes.
of Under the Influence was very positive.
It was very positive from friends, family, colleagues. They want to hear more of our personal stories. So we're definitely going to bring it and give it to you.
Yeah, I thought that was helpful, too. You know, most did say they wanted to know a little bit more about our backgrounds and, you know, touch on things like the first album we bought and, like, in what form was that. Do you remember what yours was?
First album I bought. I think it was Cyndi Lauper.
Yeah?
Yes.
Time after time?
And I love Cyndi Lauper. She's amazing.
Well,
and I got to talk to her once, so.
You did?
Yes.
Was it a good interview?
Cool, yes, very cool woman.
I'm trying to think of the first album that I bought, Michael Jackson's Dangerous album.
Oh, okay.
On cassette.
Of course.
And it was 1991.
You can't go wrong.
And I was 9 years old. Well, everyone fantasizes as a kid of
being Michael Jackson.
Being Michael, yeah.
I think dancing, I wanted to dance like Michael.
Right.
I mean, I did you ever try moonwalking? I can't do it. I just get stuck with my feet.
You get stuck with your feet.
It looks like I'm getting crap off my shoe.
Like you just stepped in cow poop?
Yes.
From that steer you sat on in the picture on our Facebook?
Thank you.
I love to actually watch people on YouTube attempting to do Michael Jackson dance moves.
Absolutely.
And failing miserably.
It's just so fun.
So I think there'll be more from us as far as the more we get into the podcast.
Yes, we'll unravel more and more
of our personal
intimate
lives.
Stories and people we've talked to. And
that was cool you interviewed Cyndi Lauper, though.
Yeah. And she had that thick New Jersey, New York accent and just so cool. I mean, to talk to Cyndi Lauper.
I feel like when I hear her speak, I'm instantly reminded of The Nanny.
Yes, I can't even.
Mr. Sheffield! Like that. That voice.
It's pretty high up there.
Right. Wouldn't you love to hear her narrate a children's book or something?
Yeah.
That would never put any child to sleep.
It would not work. Go to bed now.
Mom and Dad, you ain't getting no sleep till.
Thank you. That's how we're going back into our Beastie Boys podcast number 2.
Before we get into that, anything happened in music over the past week that needs discussed?
Yes, we need to please talk about Little Richard. May he rest in peace. He was a huge musical influence on everyone you could possibly think of.
Absolutely. All the greats. And especially if you're a piano player like the Billy Joels.
Yes.
Just so influential to so many artists. You know, we were talking in episode 1 how you grew up on a lot of Motown music.
Yes.
I wouldn't say Little Richard was quite Motown. Maybe he had some...
a little rock and Motown mix.
The rockabilly kind of style.
Yes. Yes.
So I bet your mom was a little disappointed.
She loved Little Richard.
Yeah, Tutti Frutti, Good Golly Miss Molly. And he was a little bit ahead of his time, you know, with his stage presence and how out there he was. Really one of those guys that was a true showman on stage.
Very flamboyant and just, you would watch a show, you know, even on TV and see him dance and sing and you would just be astonished by, what is this man doing? No one else does that.
I saw that Elton John tweeted out about the passing of Little Richard, and I was like, you know, man, if those two would have ever got an opportunity to collaborate, I don't think that exists.
That would have been an awesome duet. Dueling pianos and just huge stage presences. You know, that would be amazing to watch.
What's in the blender this week? What have you been listening to?
Okay, you know who I've been listening to? And I would always make fun of her name. Wait, you're going to think it's someone else, but I've been listening to Billie Eilish.
Really? Okay.
You know what? I've just been in this mood where I just need to mellow out, and her music almost kind of puts me in this trance. Her voice it's very pure. It's very beautiful. And I get lost in it.
The latest album, is that what you've been listening to?
Yes. And I love her voice. It's different.
If you want to deep dive into some Billie Eilish 4 or 5 years ago, Ocean Eyes is one of my favorite songs.
Okay.
Yeah, write that one down.
I'm definitely writing that one down.
That was off her first album.
Okay.
And she's 17, 18 years old, and she's making music in her bedroom.
She's very talented.
She and her brother produced that entire album that won, 6 or 7 Grammys?
Yeah, I'm on board now. I didn't understand it at first, but I'm definitely on the Billie Eilish train now. Love it.
And speaking of loves, what we're here to discuss today, this week, this episode, the Beastie Boys.
Whoop, whoop.
This is an episode and a topic and a group we've been wanting to talk about since the inception of the podcast, since you and I got in the same room and said, early on in the podcast, we got to do something on the Beastie Boys.
Beastie Boys.
And I think mostly in part because of the new live documentary on Apple TV. Have you seen this thing?
I've seen it, yes. And I want to rewatch it again. It's so good.
Produced by Spike Jonze, who helped them do like a lot of their videos.
Yes.
And so I like how they, Mike D and King Adri, they told the story about the group, and they really came from the point of view of like the vision of the group. The music was mostly MCA's brainchild.
It was. It really was. And kind of like the inception of from beginning to the very end, which I thought was really cool because they took us on that journey with them.
And you could tell there were some parts that were maybe not rehearsed.
Kind of like our show.
Right. Exactly. Yeah, if you have not watched this and you don't have Apple TV, find a way. Like, honestly, it's worth a subscription to Apple TV, I think, just for this documentary.
For that documentary, absolutely.
And then you can, you get 3 months free or something.
You do give it a little trial,
at the end of the summer.
But you have to watch the Beastie Boys documentary. You won't be disappointed.
Let's move into our first memories of hearing Beastie Boys. How did we each discover them? I'll let you go first.
I definitely discovered them on MTV when I was watching Michael Jackson videos and Cyndi Lauper. And like they said in the documentary, you could not turn MTV off and not see their video pop up between a Michael Jackson, a Cyndi Lauper, and whoever else was big at the time. So I didn't understand who these guys were. I thought they were really funny. Fight for Your Right to Party. I thought the video was cool. And I was a kid, so I was like, yeah, this is so fun. Like they're throwing food, having food fights, and I loved it.
It was kind of like the ultimate...
party anthem.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. For at the time, I think this kind of embodied that culture at the time, like the mid to late 80s, where
really did.
It was all about having fun and having a good time. Think about the hair metal bands, the glam bands had really just started getting out there, like that Sunset Strip sound from LA.
Yes.
And
there was something for everyone at the time. So Beastie Boys were kind of like in the middle of it all.
Right. And you still have groups like Run DMC that were kind of out there doing their thing. And
Aerosmith.
Right. They had the Walk This Way rock and rap collaboration and crossover. And so I think Beasties and, Rick Rubin, amazing producer, produced their first album, Licensed to Ill, and just a masterpiece, right?
It really was. Yep.
So 1986 was when that album came out, and I was barely out of diapers or pull-ups.
You're so old now.
When they first dropped, I'm sure I heard them.
I'm sure you did.
In the car, on pop radio. I think it was more early 90s. Like I said, 91, 92, maybe before I really heard them and started paying attention to them.
Okay.
Hey, what are these Beastie Boys? What's that all about?
Yeah, who are they?
And even then they were kind of a little bit, I think they said in the documentary, after that first album or two they did, they kind of got this stigma as the frat rock, the party bros.
Yeah. Yeah,
and they got
didn't
pigeonholed
want that.
into that for
They
a while.
did not want that feel to their music. They were opposed to that. It was almost making fun of it, but they became that.
But when I'm 10 years old, I'm like, dude, this is awesome. This is what growing up is.
Yes, I know. We grew up in the best time period. We really did.
I wanted to be Tom Hanks and Big. I wanted
oh my gosh, yes.
I wanted to go to bed as a 7-year-old and wake up and be 21-year-old.
You have a car, you can drive. Yes, be an adult overnight. Yeah, that was crazy.
That was adulting before that was a term, right?
Yes, it really was.
And when you go back and watch those videos No Sleep Till Brooklyn and Fight for Your Right to Party.
Yes.
The Beasties were kind of ahead of the time in style, too. They looked the part. What they're wearing is exactly what I might see in my head as a Beastie Boy. That's what they look like if I'm passing them on the street.
Right. They had that New York look to them.
With the Kango hats and the chains a little bit.
That leather jacket, the white T-shirt,
the
jeans.
Adidas jumpers.
Yes. Oh, yeah.
Is it too early to start just jumping right into what we feel are the best Beastie Boys albums of all time?
We got to bring it. It's not too early.
Okay. How does it stand up against the others? And then we'll share our top 5 Beastie Boys songs.
Okay.
We'll deep dive into those. And I don't know, maybe we'll ask the listener to share theirs too on our social media. We'll get a Twitter poll up. Your favorite Beastie Boys song.
Let us know.
Social media channels at UTI Music Pod on Twitter. It's at Under the Influence Music Pod on both Facebook and Instagram. Pretty good number of followers in the last week.
Thank you for following. We really appreciate it.
Share it out, like it, and if
give
you're
us your opinions.
If you're a music fan, then we definitely appreciate your commentary too.
Yeah.
All right, I'll let you go first. Your favorite Beastie Boys album. I don't know if I want to say best.
It's hard to say best.
Right.
And this is in no particular order. Okay, these are just the ones I've kind of had to like whittle down.
Okay.
Okay, so License to Ill.
Right, because it's the first.
I mean, it's a given. Paul's Boutique.
Oh, you're a Paul's Boutique fan.
I am. I know a lot of people kind of poo-pooed it, but I enjoyed it. It's in my top.
Okay.
And Hello Nasty.
Yes.
Okay, so those are the top ones I had to narrow down. Now, give me yours.
License to Ill. Rick Rubin produced.
Amazing.
It's a masterpiece. It takes the blend of that rap and rock sound.
Yes.
It's almost like a punk rock record.
It really is. It's a mix of punk, pop, and just like everything in the blender together. I love it.
It has that attitude of like, oh, that sounds so punk rock.
It does.
And in the documentary, I think they talked about like how they were influenced. Like isn't that like how they all met?
That's how they started. They were like a punk rock band.
They were going to like CBGBs and shows in like New York City, and they just met through like mutual friends, and then also discovered that they had an affection for hip hop music as well.
Yeah, for rap, and they incorporated that later into their sound, and it just became the Beastie Boys sound.
And at the time, like there wasn't a whole lot of hip hop out there to choose from, especially in that New York metro area. I mean, there were some, like I said, Run DMC, and I think like Grandmaster Flash, Curtis Blow.
Yeah, and like they said in the documentary, coming from white boys, from New York, doing this rap sound, which was different from what everyone else was doing.
So glad they didn't name themselves White Boys with the Z.
With the Z.
Right. I really went back and forth because I also really love Ill Communication.
Oh, yeah. Yes, I didn't even have it. Yes, a great one.
I think that was the one, too, that after the Fight for Your Right to Party and the No Sleep Till Brooklyn, and like you knew what their sound was then.
Oh, yeah, of course.
After License to Ill, and Ill Communication dropped, it's like kind of a whole other level of a group. And I think in the documentary they talked like they toured on it for like 2 years.
It was like 2 or 3 years.
And then they took a break and then toured on it for like 2 more years.
Yeah, that was a long tour for an album.
But License to Ill, like I said, it's the first. And Rick Rubin, huge fan of him as a producer. And again, an honorable mention, I think, Hello Nasty as well.
It was on my list. It's
their most experimental album, I think. They were playing every instrument themselves.
They were. And you can see that in the documentary, too, which is really cool. It's raw.
They had the fun singles like Body Movin', Super Disco Breakin', Intergalactic Planetary.
Oh, I could sing that all day.
3 MCs, 1 DJ. Mixmaster Mike was starting to become more prevalent, with when they toured.
Yep.
Anytime they did a live performance, Mixmaster Mike.
He was right there.
You could say great things about him alone, just his skill and his ability.
Very talented. Yep.
He was almost like, they say there's the fifth Beatle. Mixmaster Mike, the fourth Beastie.
Why not?
The bonus Jonas, if you will.
I like that.
Do you have a favorite Beastie Boy?
I do.
I'm going to guess it.
I don't think you're going to guess it.
Yes.
You're not going to guess it.
I'm going to peg you for a MCA kind of girl. Did I get it right? Nice.
You do know me. Thank you. Yes, definitely MCA, my boy.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know that I have a favorite member. Each of their flows, each of their styles bring something unique. Ad-Rock. Who can rap like that?
I know. It's like he's yelling.
Falsetto rapping.
Yes. It's a whole other style.
That's right.
And I don't know who else could do that and do it well.
And then Mike D kind of has, you could tell he's a bro from New York.
He is. Like SoCal vibe almost, but New York, yes.
And then, of course, MCA has that raspiness in his voice like he's a chain smoker.
He's my boy. He held it all together.
Remember their music videos, like when they'd be like on the red carpet for an event or something, and like that weird Swedish dude.
Was he German or Swedish?
German or something. Yeah, Nathaniel Hornblower.
Yes,
was their music video director.
My husband and I love him.
And it was MCA the whole time. But he tried to put it off like it was his uncle, long lost uncle from Sweden or Germany.
He played it off. I love that character.
All right, top 5 Beastie Boys songs. This is going to be a little bit more challenging than I think the albums.
Okay, these are not in any particular order as well. So I'm going to...
There's not a number 1, number 2, number 3.
I can't.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm throwing out Brass Monkey. Just because that song is just so freaking fun. Who does not like Brass Monkey?
Isn't a song